Got imposter syndrome? It's time to stop feeling like a fraud. Welcome to the School of Self-Worth Live. I'm Sam Osborne, the Self-Worth Guy. Today is episode number 142. And today I am reviewing another Forbes blog article by the title of Got Imposter Syndrome. It's time to stop feeling like a fraud by an Aussie gal, Dr. Margie Worrell, who grew up in rural Australia. So, g'day, Margie. I think she's now in Boston, going by her LinkedIn profile. So she's got this article here. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger for everybody so you can read along with me. I'm going to go through some of the parts that stuck out to me. There's another great image to do with imposter syndrome. All these blog articles seem to have good images that try to describe imposter syndrome. I'm just going to start a little bit of reading and then go through the 7 points that she talks about. So she says, I'm just waiting on them to realize I'm not the expert they think. Sarah told me after landing a bigger role after her company restructured earlier this year. It was a great opportunity, but it triggered an avalanche of self-doubt. What if they realize they promoted the wrong person? She asked. There's so much I still don't know about doing this role. And she says, this is classic imposter syndrome, a term coined to describe ongoing feelings of inadequacy despite evidence of success. Now, interestingly, the term imposter syndrome started to trend on Google in March 2020, right when the lockdowns here in America at least happened. So I can imagine a lot of people started to feel like a fraud or that they were a phony or not good enough when they had to work from home or when they lost their job. And that COVID and lockdown caused a kind of, a panic for people, not only in, the fact that they were losing their job or they could possibly die and get sick from COVID, but also that being stuck at home, you got a lot of time to think. And that's when self-doubt can creep in. And that's when imposter syndrome or feeling like maybe I'm not good enough for my job, or maybe people are going to find out that I don't actually know my stuff and I could lose my job. So it was interesting that on Google Trends, then if you look at that, the search term imposter syndrome started to go up, and it has been going up ever since. So I'm just going to talk about the 7 things that Dr. Margie talks about, if I got her name right, Dr. Margie. Yep. She talks about number 1. So this is what you can do to, this is what you can do if you've got imposter syndrome. And if it is time for you to stop feeling it like an imposter syndrome, here's what Dr. Margie suggests. Number 1, she says, focus on the value you bring on giving your best, not being the best. So yeah, simple. Just do your best, right? Give your best. You'll give your best value. Don't try to be the best. Don't try to compare yourself to people who are ahead of the game of you. By all means, be inspired by what they do and think, yeah, there's a role model. I'd like to move towards that. But give yourself some time, be patient with yourself. Don't think that you have to be perfect straight away, and understand that the path to your own success is going to be up and down. But if you keep working on it and you give yourself some more time, you're going to get towards this point where you feel confident in yourself, and imposter syndrome will not affect you anywhere near as much or for as long. Number 2, internalize your success. And you didn't just get lucky. And a lot of people will sometimes say, yeah, well, I might have been successful, but I was lucky, or the hiring committee made a mistake in choosing me, and it's just a matter of time before they find out that I'm actually not able to do the job. And so she says, if you sometimes feel undeserving of success, write a list of all your accomplishments over the last 5 years. I've talked about this point before. Definitely list all of the things that, your accomplishments, the things that you feel like, yeah, this is where I definitely deserved success. I achieved success, where I proved my value to others and to myself. That's a good thing to, do an audit, a logical audit of the things that you've done. Then, as you've probably known if you've been watching these videos, I then try to say, okay, if you're going to do something for the logic side of your brain to like try and overcome feeling like a fraud, do something on the emotional, creative, imaginative side of your life. Get out the pencil, the paper, however, and do some creative writing and create the personality that you are becoming. Okay. And that's going to create a kind of story that you're going to live into. Okay. Because a lot of people, they walk around going, oh my gosh, what's my future going to be like? I say, create it, write it down. And you think, oh, that's just making it up, Sam. Yeah. That's a beautiful power and strength to be imaginative and create your future. Okay. Rather than walking into an unknown future, why don't you write it down and say, I want this to happen and this is how it's going to be. It's called a plan, people, but be creative with it. Add, action and drama and success. Add some struggle to it, like be realistic, but use the imagination to create your authentic self. Dr. Margie also says, regularly stop and celebrate your small wins. I can't remember who was saying it. It could have been Simon Sinek. And he said, there are moments in the day where we have these opportunities to refine our life with baby steps, in other words. So let's say you want to get into the habit of flossing your teeth or taking your vitamin D. For me, it's like the vitamin D sits there on the counter and I look at it every morning and I was not taking it. But then I thought, that's an opportunity for me to level up just a little bit in my life to improve it in some small way. Okay, that's my challenge. Take it and be successful at that little challenge. Then you look for the next one and the next one. And so your life is filled with these moments where there are achievable goals right in front of you that if you started to do them, they're not hard, but over time, it's really going to benefit you. And the same thing with success and reducing imposter syndrome is regularly stop and look at where the success is in your life and acknowledge it. Acknowledge the small wins. Don't underestimate the small wins because lots of them make up a better attitude, a greater outlook, a positive mindset, a realistic, inspired mindset. Okay, that's going to help counteract the influences of imposter syndrome. Dr. Margie talks about enough with the comparisons and run your own best race. So if you're comparing yourself to other people and that's causing you to feel like an imposter, stop comparing yourself so much to people. Now, it's great to compare yourself to other people if it's in a positive way. Like, oh, man, I'd really like to be like that person. And that's a healthy way of comparing yourself to someone. Usually people compare themselves to others and it causes them to minimize their value and to think, oh, I could never be like that person, and it gets them down. So rather than do that, run your own race and say, I'm going to compare myself to who I was yesterday. I think that's one of Jordan Peterson's 12 rules for life. Let's move on. Dr. Margie says, reframe missteps as building proficiency and growing into your potential. Reframing is brilliant. Everyone knows my reframe is imposter syndrome is a sign of a fantastic imagination, because if you can believe that you are an imposter, even with evidence against that, that says to me that you have a fantastic ability to deny the reality around you. That is a great imagination strength. You should then pivot and apply that in another direction and imagine yourself to be something else, something better, something confident, authentic, your true self, someone with self-worth. Use your imagination, people, okay? You don't just have to use your logical mind. You can be playful, creative with this. This is a very powerful thing, and I don't think enough people do it. Number 6, she says, accept compliments graciously, not by minimizing yourself. How many times, ask yourself, someone pays you a compliment and you kind of downplay it, or you say, that's, anybody could do it. Instead, start to say thank you. Thank you for the compliment. And then if you're still having problems, ask yourself, what did I do to deserve that compliment? And come up with a few things, all right? So that you don't just immediately have that rehearsed downplaying response. We say, you don't really mean that. Instead, go, okay, what did I do to deserve this? And look in your life and list things and go, yeah, I deserve that compliment, damn it. Okay, and that's going to lift you up. It's going to bring imposter syndrome down. It's going to lift your self-worth up. Number 7, she says, and I love this one, dare to risk the exposure of your fear. It's the only way to expose the real imposter. This is what I did. This is my story. So basically, you got to jump in the deep end. You got to do the most scariest thing, and that is like kryptonite to imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome doesn't like it if you go to your fear and say, I'm going to call your bluff. I'm going to see what actually happens if I do the thing that I'm most afraid of. So great article there by Dr. Margie, and that is called Got Imposter Syndrome. It's time to stop feeling like a fraud. If you've enjoyed this episode, I've got a free gift for you. It's called Crush Imposter Syndrome Forever, the starter kit for bulletproof confidence. And you can get it at the links on the screen now, samosborn.com/starter kit. And I invite you to join the School of Self-Worth Facebook group. Come and say hi, ask your questions. And I hope everybody's having a great day. Tomorrow's Friday. All right. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.